That's the response I got at the White House. Appreciate that. Now, the administration understands the significance of it. Barbara Lee, in the context of the new transportation bill and the jobs bill that is working its way through the Congress, understands that these are perfect vehicles for this to take place. And so we have pledges from our congressional legislative people to advocate these ideas. I'm now also trying to assemble all the mayors in the context of the U.S. Conference of Mayors to take a unified stance that we present to the President of the United States and to the Congress to embrace these ideas: jobs, economic development, environmental integrity, and public safety. You know, then the President walks in the room with Vice President Biden. And I want you to know, as one human being, when I saw the President walk in, as a human being, it almost brought me to tears. I saw this one young, tall, skinny guy with the weight of the world on his shoulders. And I thought to myself, how incredible, this tremendous stress where people are acting out their pain, their anger, their fears, and their cynicism directed at this one guy. And I said, how incredible. And I just felt, as one human being, you know, my heart went out to him. He approached the microphone and he began to talk about the stress and the strain that he was under, the tremendous challenges that are there, all of the great pressures. And then he said, but in my darkest moments, I stop and say, it could be worse. I could be a mayor. And I sat there in the stateroom and I said to myself, I can relate, sir, I can relate. What he was saying, however, was a very important thing. And that is, as our problems expand, multiply, and deepen, as more problems are acted out at the local level, it is the place where we have the fewest resources to deal with them. In Washington, they can print money. We can't do that in Oakland. So we have to be brilliant. We have to be strategic. I know you wish we could, but we can't. We have to be thoughtful. Our ideas must be couched in significant and rational thought, good policy, good practices, and efficient and effective implementation. So my thought was that as we go forward in this context of extraordinary economic downturn, that we must be guided by a vision and guided by a strategy. That vision of Oakland as a model city is not some slogan, my friends. To have a city that has that is rational, that has a rationality to it, that works effectively, a city where people are able to hear, to listen, to work with each other, to work in harmony in a context of security and peace, is not utopia. It is the very basis upon which we go forward. It is the imperative. It is not just the right thing to do. It's the only thing that we're going to do if we turn over a world to these young people that we just applauded. It's our responsibility to engage going forward. And my thought was that the strategy, and many of us agreed in this room, that the strategy must be a sustainable economic development approach. What are the four elements that are involved in a sustainable economic development strategy? A plan, people, communication, and resources. With respect to the plan, it's not rocket science. It's how do you take our assets, our challenges, and our opportunities and bring them together? How do you bring representatives of all the stakeholders in our community to the table where they're able to eyeball each other, to work with each other out of respect and dignity, to understand each other and to be engaged in the process of developing that plan. To have people who are committed to that vision and committed to carrying it out. And thirdly, communication. While I would be the first to say that we've got improvement, we need to improve in how we better communicate so that Oakland's visibility at the local, at the regional, at the state and the federal level is broadened. We're doing better at that, but here's a piece of very good news. A few weeks ago, I met with the Secretary of HUD, Secretary Donovan, and we talked about Oakland's stimulus approach, which I'll get into a little further in the course of my remarks. He was impressed enough with Oakland's approach to the recovery effort that he got on the horn and called the White House and said, put Oakland on the short list of cities that we, HUD, and the White House need to visit in order to gain learnings from this stimulus effort. I got on the phone and called the White House and said, don't just have us on the short list, put us on the list, because it will be a win-win. We understand the fundamental basis upon which this administration and this Congress has based its stimulus effort. We can articulate that. But beyond that, we've come with a different approach. We've accepted a challenge that very few cities in America have accepted as we approach the recovery effort. Well, I'm here to announce to you that on March the 1st, Oakland is one of the 3 cities, and on March the 1st, the federal government will come here to highlight and to look at and to listen and to learn from the Oakland experience. I am proud of that. Philadelphia is 3 cities. Think about that. Philadelphia is one of them. I don't know what the second city, but I wouldn't be surprised if it were Chicago. There's a very famous resident who lives in Chicago. But Oakland, California, not Oaktown, not some tiny little place on the West Coast that nobody knows about. Oakland. Take pride in that, because this is our moment in the sun. This is our opportunity to say, here we are striving to be a model city. Here we are as one of the 2 most diverse cities in America. And if you want to help the future of this country, help Oakland, because we are the future. We represent this rich diversity that is where this country is going.